Let's imagine the Cold War went another way. After the Nazis surrendered, the Soviet Union flexed its muscles and asserted its imperial might, from Tokyo to Tacoma. Memorials to the fatherland popped up around the globe. This would be the Washington Monument. This could have been your morning commute. And now let's fast forward. These were the first semiconductors. This is your keyboard. This was the first IBM computer. This is Facebook headquarters. This is Silicon Valley. Well, that didn't happen. But in modern Russia, it's easy to get confused. With an extra helping of spycraft, technology here developed a world apart from Silicon Valley. And that didn't change when the Soviet Union collapsed. In Moscow over the past decade, the Tsar's gilded churches and monuments to the proletariat have given way to the symbols of modern Russia. Opulent capitalist towers that poke through the clouds. At the heart of this is where I met Dmitry Grishin.
Hello, Dmitry.
He's the co-founder of Mail.ru Group, and one of only a few people east of Helsinki who can drive me to the office in his own Tesla.
I organized a drive for all my employees, like 3,000 people, because they want all to test how accelerate.
Dmitry sits atop a Russian tech empire and runs an investment fund for robotics with its roots in Silicon Valley.
That doesn't make you want to move there? You have so much going on here.
Maybe one day, never say never, right?
Dmitry's tried to copy Silicon Valley culture here in Moscow, where Mail.ru Group operates 2 instant messaging networks, a search engine, a price comparison website, and a ton of online games. They also control the 3 largest Russian social networking sites. The biggest one is VK, a Facebook knockoff. Dmitry and Mail.ru Group took over VK in 2014 after its founder, Pavel Durov, refused to reveal information about Ukrainian activists to the Kremlin. Durov lost his company and now lives in self-imposed exile.
Overall, then, do you consider the Russian tech scene competitive?
Yes, and you know, it's interesting things that it's very few countries where local players are very strong. And comparing, for example, with China, the internet is fully closed. We have Facebook, Instagram, all kind of Western players, and still pretty successful. So I think we have pretty tough competition.
To get a taste of the high life of a tech oligarch, Dmitry and I headed for a bite to eat at the tallest restaurant in Europe, 354 meters above the Moscow traffic. Dmitry grew up programming on computers that plugged into Soviet TVs. But things really took off when he enrolled at Moscow State Technical University in 1995.
And the same year, Microsoft announced Windows 95. This famous song from Rolling Stones, Start Me Up. Next 2 years, I tried to write my own Windows. It's so expensive, Windows. Maybe I can just write a cheap version. So I'm sitting, writing it, but after some time, I say, okay, no.
It's too hard.
He might have failed to rewrite the world's most popular operating system. But he did stumble on the copycat business model that became Mail.ru Group. It's hard to imagine now, but in 2004, only 9% of Russians had internet access.
What was the Russian government's assessment of the technology industry?
They didn't know that they exist.
That all changed in 2012. Russia had become the biggest internet market in Europe. Some people used the web to complain about Putin and organize protests against his re-election. The Kremlin responded in full Orwellian glory, with a series of laws that allows them to flag opposition sites as extremist and blacklist them. Ever since, it's been hard to tell where the Vlad web begins and ends.
I think in the U.S., the idea is that the Russian government and the tech companies are just intertwined.
If you follow the law, you're okay. Definitely the laws became more complicated, right? And sometimes it's definitely the way how to interpret the law.
Those new laws passed this year would make Edward Snowden weep into his borscht. They demand all sites Russians can access move their servers here, including the Googles and Facebooks of the world. Once on Russian soil, they have to store 6 months' worth of data about people's every move online, and then give the Kremlin access. Russian companies like Mail.ru protested. They said these measures would take a ridiculous amount of storage space, but they obviously lost. American companies have said there's no way they're moving to Russia, so now they're criminal enterprises here. And that's how you build a sovereign internet.
When we grow our business, our concept was that internet was a global system, no border at all. User everywhere can connect to everywhere, data can be migrated, everything. So it really was a global phenomenon. But now I think that fundamental global shift everywhere, that you have country, you have borders, and inside these borders you have different kind of rules, how data is moving, how connectivity is moving, who can connect to what, who can do what. So we're not having like global internet. We're having some global internet, but a lot of like local internets. And for me, this is big set in terms of change.
It's hard to wrap your head around just how big Siberia is, and even harder to understand how most people live here. So, to get acquainted, I found another Dmitry. This one, a real natural-born Siberian man, to initiate me into the ways of the Russian wilderness.
I'm sure this is a good idea, right?
Perfect idea.
A trip to the banya is an ancient, and some would say masochistic, Russian bonding ritual. It consists of 3 delightful steps.
Okay, Ashlee, Inferno is ready for endurance.
Step 1, nearly have heat stroke. Step 2, shrinkage. Step 3, get whacked.
What does this do?
Keep silent, please.
When he's not beating other men with birch branches, my new Russian friend Dmitry is a philosophy professor here in Akademgorodok. That's my destination, a small town hours by plane from Moscow and about 30 minutes outside Russia's 3rd largest city, Novosibirsk. Nikita Khrushchev's government declared 60 years ago that this would be the Siberian home of the Soviet Academy of Sciences. Built from nothing in the middle of a remote taiga forest that stretches halfway around the planet.
Akademgorodok, it was the first Soviet technopolis, and it was a good opportunity for many young scientists.
How has it changed over the last 40 years?
In comparison to Soviet time, we have not so much opportunities, but we love our place because it's wonderful. 40 institutes, a real scientific community.
Should we toast?
Mm-hmm.
What will we toast to?
No piety to the enemies of science.
Cheers.
Soaked, swatted, steaming, And having proven my loyalty to science, I was ready to explore Akademgorodok. Here, the Soviets hid temples to science in the trees with shrines to match. Like this one, to all the mice they sacrificed on the altar of genetic research. Inside the Nuclear Physics Institute, it feels like I walked onto the set of Dr. Strangelove. These analog dials, laser contraptions, and miles of metal pipes were all built to push nuclear science to its summit, replicating the sun's power by smashing atoms together.
People have been chasing fusion for decades. What's still encouraging and exciting about this field?
The scientific problem is like a huge mountain, and for 60 years people are trying to get to the top. Everything around the base of the mountain is like a trash dump with old bodies and stuff. But you can imagine the results you can achieve when you get to the top.
Professor Alexei Beklumishev researches something called open trap mechanisms to encourage fusion.
This is also useful in order to make plasma thrusters for space ships. At the moment, it is just an idea.
The Soviet government attracted brilliant minds like Alexei's to Siberia with spacious apartments and the kind of prestige they could only get in a town founded as a utopian nerdocracy. But when the Soviet Union fell, so did the walls keeping scientists here. And many of them bolted to work at IBM or MIT or Boeing. For those who stayed, the utopia has lost its luster.
Over time, the difference in pay between scientists and, say, bus drivers went in favor of bus drivers.
Okay.
If you are overworked and without pay, you want to go elsewhere.
10 years ago, the Russian government decided it needed to hit refresh on the entire town to pull Siberian science out of its post-Soviet slump. They're turning to a new generation of engineers, plucked from the taiga to lead the way. And one of the most successful so far is Dmitry Trubitsyn. Yes, another Dmitry.
Today, Akademgorodok is changing. Now there are not only scientists, but there are also a lot of companies.
More like startups.
Yeah, more like startups.
Today, Dmitri's the poster boy for a Siberian startup success story. His company, Tion, started off making king-size air filters for hospitals and other businesses. And now they have their eyes on China. Tion's success belongs to Dmitry, but it's built on a blueprint drawn up by the Russian government. His headquarters is on a sprawling government-funded campus called Akadem Park, with this crazy tower in the middle of it. Not recommended if you have a fear of heights. This place is a prime example of one of the big ideas in Russian tech, a cradle-to-grave genius factory. Across the country, they start them young with a strictly uniform education, heavy on math and science. They pull the best out of Siberia and send them down the street to Novosibirsk State University. From there, they used to funnel their brains to places like the Nuclear Institute. But now that that's a bit retro, many of them end up here, in the Tech Tower. Here it's like someone visited a few Silicon Valley startups, punched the copy button, ran it through Google Translate, and then hit paste in the middle of Siberia. Here's the living wall, only here it's dead. Here's the makerspace, and the 3D printed Putin. Here's the gym, only it's Siberia, so it comes with bear. Hello, innovation. Over the past few years, Russia has honed the art of turning computer science nerds into AI-building geniuses. To test one of the most powerful and controversial pieces of AI-infused software ever built, I've traveled to the heart of Moscow and its famed Gorky Park. Just 5 years ago, this was a decaying Soviet relic. Today, it's buzzing with people on wheels and friendly Russian faces. And my goal here is to find a few.
Hi. Would you mind if I take a photo of your face? I'm trying to do a little bit of an experiment. Can I take a photo of your face? I just take a photo of you, and then we see if it can find your VK profile.
Okay. You might find me on Facebook.
It doesn't work on Facebook yet because they don't let you search the database.
Find Face is an Android app that lets you take a picture of a new friend or a complete stranger. In a few seconds, it scans all 250 million photos from VK, the Russian Facebook knockoff, and then finds a match.
All right, let's see what happens. Moment of truth. Here we go.
Oh, it's me. It's Ashlee.
Oh, it's me.
Yes, it's me.
And your hair is so different in the photo.
Definitely find me first.
Yeah.
So it works.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Do you think it's strange?
It's strange but cool.
You like some girl and you take a photo and you can find her and text her or something.
Yeah, so you guys like it.
I wouldn't do like this.
So if I forgot if this is my son or not, I can check it with my phone.
Find him.
Okay.
This year, FindFace took its algorithm to America for something called the Mega Face Challenge. There it beat Google and a lot of other face spotting software. To find out how they did it,
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I went to meet the algorithm's creator at the office of his company, Entech.
Do you mind showing me how the technology works a little bit?
Yeah.
Can we try me? So these are my Russian brethren, my cousins. Is it ranked in order by who they think looks the most like me? This is like a 60-year-old with a machine gun. Another guy with a gun. I want to show you something else. Why am I a bear?
So the similarity is very low, but yes, algorithm thinks that there are some similarity. Sometimes it's difficult to say why neural network works this way, but it works.
Artyom programmed a neural network that approaches face finding differently than others. He fed it thousands of image matches, and after about 6 months of training, voila, it learned to read faces.
Essentially, you don't even know what the neural network is seeing.
In the beginning, neural network gives random answers, and the accuracy is close to 0. And during training, if everything goes well, the accuracy grows. If you can efficiently find the exact person among huge data sets, it opens a lot more interesting use cases. Like, for example, you can search for criminals in real life among all the street cameras in the city.
Are we creeped out yet? Maybe we should be. Entech has already signed a contract with the Moscow City Police, though Artyom won't talk about it. And he says they already have agreements with other law enforcement agencies both inside and outside Russia. It's easy to imagine what the FBI or its Russian counterpart, the FSB, could do with this kind of technology.
So it's a little bit controversial, right? Because anyone can identify you now out of the crowd.
I would say that the implications of this very scary.
I think FSB is searching us like that.
I'm saying like companies, big companies, corporations, and governments definitely know everything about you. But for random people, this makes it much easier.
You have to be careful if you go outside in the street or in a Facebook or any other social network. You've done it.
Yep.
You're open to be recognized.
This idea that you're not anonymous when you walk the street anymore, somebody can just snap your photo and identify who you are. You must have thought about that when you were developing the technology?
When we were developing, we were thinking only about accuracy and how cool it is. But privacy finished when you have smartphones with you, because they can track all the information about you. It's a battle between technology and privacy. My personal guess that technology will win.
On the outskirts of Moscow, you'll find Skolkovo, where the hope is that other startups like FineFace will come to life. One of the basic truths of the human condition is that people love to float. And there's no better place to float than here at the Dead Sea in Israel, where, without any effort at all, large mammals can achieve buoyancy. There's some ritual involved to doing this place the right way.
Whoa!
You need to fall into some mud, lather up, and then relax with a good read. Sorry to do that to your white shirt, Jack, you handsome devil. Israel has many wonderful sides, and this is one of its finest. Arabs, Jews, tourists, and TV hosts all come here and can't help but float together for a while and laugh. It's unfettered, or at least less fettered, joy. It would be nice if this story could remain so simple, but it can't. To come to Israel is to witness the fierce tensions that loom over this country firsthand. Its spy balloons floating by highways, its walled-off and fenced-in Arab cities, and tourist spots turn quiet due to the stabbings and random acts of violence that have become so prevalent over the past 2 years. Gave birth to the Israeli technology industry. The Israeli military dominates much of this country's culture. At 18 years of age, men and women head off for 2 to 3 years of required service. Kids who would be trying to locate the best kegger or sleeping through class in the United States find themselves here dealing with the most intense of situations. These young soldiers in the Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, also learn to use some of the most advanced military technology around. To see how the IDF has given Israel a unique tech edge, I decided to check it out up close. To see the Iron Dome. I've traveled to Ashkelon, a coastal city just south of Tel Aviv that nudges up against the Gaza Strip.
What we're seeing here right now is the launcher. Each launcher has 20 missiles on it. You can see the red light flashing, which means it's armed and ready.
Here, one of the dozen or so Iron Dome batteries sits at the ready to intercept missiles and provide Israel with a type of shield from aerial attacks.
I'm the Iron Dome commander.
Lieutenant Colonel Liran Cohen oversees its operation.
Is this as close as we get, or do we get...
This is as close as we get.
It took just 3 years and about $200 million to develop this defense system. It relies on a radar that instantly detects when a missile has been fired. Algorithms quickly try to determine what type of projectile is in the air and whether it's heading for a populated or strategic area. If so, Iron Dome launches a missile of its own. It's said that Iron Dome has taken down more than 1,000 missiles since it turned on in 2011, with a 90% success rate. Some people question the accuracy of these figures. What's clear, though, is that the algorithms capable of directing projectiles while performing a cost-benefit analysis on human life are among the most advanced in the world. This network of launchers is highly mobile and constantly on the move. This site, like many, is temporary.
Everything you see here can be moved out in a matter of hours. And we move around a lot to make sure nobody knows where we are all the time.
Unless you live here, it's difficult to imagine just how much this technology has transformed the lives of ordinary Israelis.
I can tell you from my own personal experience, sitting in my own house and seeing rockets fired towards my house and operating this incredible system and succeeding. With the Iron Dome, when you see your house that you're protecting and your family and your friends and your soldiers, it's a sense of great sense of pride.
For many Palestinians, Iron Dome means something else. It's just the most visible part of an expansive Israeli security apparatus that includes drones, checkpoints, and espionage technology. Those tools have been put to immediate use in the West Bank, Gaza, and throughout Israel. Terrorist bombings have declined. Missiles have met their match. But lower tech forms of protest, like stabbings, are now on the rise. What's been remarkable is the speed at which young Israelis take these types of high-tech tools and then privatize them once they leave the army. Be it peacetime or war, Israeli innovations pop up throughout the world. Forget dull strip malls and office parks. The startups of Tel Aviv come to life here in the city's vibrant neighborhoods. They feed off the city's energy, and the employees have a chance to escape their cubicles and live a little. I came here to meet one of the people that shaped the Israeli startup lifestyle. Shlomo Kramer served in the IDF almost 25 years ago, and his first company, Checkpoint, invented the freaking firewall.
We always had the startup bug, so we always talked about stuff that we will do afterwards, and it was always around startups.
Like a lot of Israel's tech elite, Shlomo got his start with Unit 8200, a top branch of the IDF.
Group 8200, right, is this famous part of the IDF that, I guess, equivalent to NSA in the United States.
It was like the bedrock of everything else that I've done afterwards. As a 22, 23-year-old, I was the head of a unit, of 20 people, very high responsibility. I was, making decisions in millions of dollars. And
the IDF functions sort of like a never-ending networking event. The first question at a cocktail party is what unit you served in. For members of Unit 8200, these ties have led to Israel dominating the market for security software and hardware.
What makes Israel so well-suited to startups and technology?
There's always an infusion of new talent from the IDF. And the infusion of talent, you've got the recipe for a successful startup nation.
Yeah.
Shlomo has invested in dozens of Israeli companies. To see the extreme end of what the IDF can inspire, I've gone to Herzliya, a small beach town and tech hub that brushes right up against Tel Aviv. It's here that a company called Space Pharma has set out to make some interstellar drugs.
If humanity would like to move out of Earth, they must learn the microgravity conditions in order to survive on the way to Mars and to other places. Florida is...
CEO Yossi Yamin used to head up the IDF satellite program. Then, he and his comrades hit on a big, possibly profitable idea. They assembled some space, software, and science experts and set to work trying to make life easier on astronauts.
We cut the middleman. The astronaut is not the scientist. He needs to survive, he needs to eat, he needs to train, he needs to sleep. He cannot do too much science.
Space Pharma has built a shoebox-sized laboratory that will hitch rides into orbit on rockets from companies like SpaceX. The goal is to shrink down state-of-the-art scientific equipment and automate how it runs experiments. This would allow a great deal more science to take place on the International Space Station.
So we're gonna go in the lab here.
Thank you for the booties.
You're very welcome. So it's a pretty small bio lab, but the equipment's big. And this you can't bring to space. So the whole idea of what we're trying to do and what we're really gonna look at is how we take this equipment and bring it down to the small scale.
A typical laboratory has refrigerator-sized machines, microscopes, pipettes, and a host of liquids and chemicals. It's a very manual, messy process that's tough enough to pull off here on Earth.
We just looked at all that large equipment. This is what we fitted in.
Research done on the ISS has already led to the development of new drugs and insights about organisms. Molecules floating about freely in solutions can behave more naturally than when they're smeared flat on a petri dish.
Every day our life is dominated by this lens of gravity. What goes up must come down. We remove that lens of gravity and we learn something new.
Space Pharma wants to use its machines to let companies and researchers conduct dozens of different kinds of experiments, and to see what space can teach us. To pull myself out of the clouds and learn more about Israel's startup culture, I went for a walk on the beach back in Tel Aviv with another local tech legend.
Shalom. Welcome to Israel.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
Armed with a law degree and an MBA, Adi Sofer Teani had led a number of young companies and helped spur on Israel's technology economy. Now, she runs Facebook's Israel operations.
Today we have something like 5,300 startups in Israel. By the way, there's no one country in the world that has that amount of startups except the US.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
it's not even close.
And
yeah.
1,400 new startups in 2015. 1,400 new startups.
Women must serve alongside men in the military here. Adi once hoped to fly jets, but because of the gender restrictions at the time, she ended up evaluating who could become a pilot. She sees the time in the Air Force as crucial to her career.
What's the uniqueness of the female experience in Israel because of the military service? It must have some long-term effects.
Yeah, I absolutely think it does. Women in Israel probably start their career life with more confidence, with the feeling that they also can. But are we done in Israel in terms of women taking part? No, we are not. And I think that in Israel we're probably, because of the military, because of Startup Nation, because of the culture, I think that we are probably closer to achieve that, but we are definitely still not there.
After our chat, Adi insisted that I go revel in Tel Aviv's famous nightlife. Tel Aviv stands out as one of the great surprises of my travels. People head out late here, often starting dinner at 9 p.m. The bartenders look for any excuse to do shots with their patrons, and their patrons, or at least this patron, look for any excuse to oblige. The beach, the old city, the boardwalk joyrides. This is a wondrous place that feels at times as if it exists within its own bubble, separate from the rest of the country. From the cosmopolitan coast, I climbed the winding mountain road to Jerusalem. Tel Aviv may be the beating heart of the Israeli tech world, but most Jews consider Jerusalem to be the country's soul.
I'm Ashlee.
And you know what they say about the soul.
If you think about it, the most basic thing of human communication is eye contact. By the device seeing you, you get a whole nother world of interaction.
The window to the soul.
Exactly, the window to the soul or the window to the brain. Look around, look to the right, look to the left.
Yitzi Kempinski is the co-founder and CEO of YouMove, based here in Jerusalem. The company has developed a way to replace eye tracking gear that usually costs tens of thousands of dollars with algorithms that can run on an iPad or smartphone.
It's a little disorienting at first to try and play a video game just by moving your head. So you see head movement, eye movement, iris movement, blinks, and then
an analysis of that.
Kempinski hopes the technology will give us new, rapid insights into conditions like concussions.
So this is like when they shine the white light that you have to follow. I mean, you see doctors doing that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then based on the score, we can tell if I have a concussion and I don't.
You don't have one.
I don't have a concussion.
Kempinski thinks that these hard science applications with real-world uses distinguish Israel's tech scene, especially for Jerusalem startups.
People are looking for, real deep tech. You can't say, I'm, making an app for taking pictures of food. You have to give a real explanation to your Jewish grandmother about what is that for?
This is the Damascus Gate.
It's not that far at all from where we were earlier today. There's a sniper up in the window who's guarding against a lot of the recent stabbings that have been going on. Jerusalem's trying to turn into a technology city, and this is the reality of how these businesses have to come to life in this type of environment.
The moment you step into Jerusalem, it's clear that the city carries with it the weight of thousands of years of history. Everyone in the Middle East, and by extension the world, has their eyes fixed here, on Al-Aqsa Mosque, on the Wailing Wall, on the spot where it's believed Jesus was crucified. This is a small spot of land with outsized global importance. Under heavy guard, carved into minute slices, and fortified with walls. Those barriers went up to curb violence based on ancient disputes. Seen another way, they've become blockades that hold back modern opportunity. I traveled north, from Jerusalem to Nazareth. The largest Arab enclave in Israel, a place with a laid-back vibe and a very specific flavor.
We can see here 10 or 15 places just for shawarma. So because of that, I call it the Shawarma Valley.
Shawarma Valley.
You have the Silicon Valley, we have the Shawarma Valley, and we are at the middle of the Shawarma Valley.
That's Fadi Swadan. He opened Israel's first Arab tech accelerator, and he knows everyone in town.
كيف الحال؟ شو أخباركم؟
Arabs do not have to serve in the military and lack the tech connections supplied by the IDF. Fadi is set to work trying to fix this and to help Arab engineers benefit from Israel's tech boom. In a controversial move, he's linking them up with the tech moguls who have come out of the IDF's Unit 8200. The spooky security and espionage folks.
Anyone is going out of the 8200, first thing is thinking about is to make a startup. The 8200 graduates have a special NGO that help them. At our community, it's not so popular to have startup because it's a new industry. It's very risky.
Fadi's a rebel. He was the only Arab in his class at the Technion, Israel's elite technical university. Inside of this building, he shepherded dozens of like-minded engineers. They're building software, consumer services, and hardware in an effort to make sure that the Arab-speaking world has the latest and greatest technology.
I think if we can be part of the ecosystem in Tel Aviv and to be part of the startup nation, we can raise the standard of life of the Arab community here.
Because Israel is known as this startup nation, but it's left out a big chunk of people so far.
Exactly. There's two communities, the Arabs and the Jewish Orthodox. The government now is putting some money to find the ways how to engage them with a startup nation here, because they believe that if we are not part of that, the startup nation will be somehow slowed here, and it cannot continue to be the second place after the Silicon Valley.
A handful of his companies have already taken off and made headway in billion-dollar industries, but it's proven tough for them to find investment dollars. There's a clear bias against Arab companies, and many of their backers have opted to remain anonymous or to funnel their investments through offshore accounts. But Fadi remains optimistic.
I hope in the coming years maybe we have big success stories, let's say. The first unicorn startup from the Arab community maybe here in Israel, so this maybe can attract more and more entrepreneurs to be part of that and attract Arab businessmen to be part of this industry.
On that hopeful note, my time in Israel came to an end. It's understandable that tourists have made fewer visits here in recent months, that the markets have grown quieter, and the mood in the streets more tense. This place can seem daunting from afar. To visit Israel, though, is to experience the extraordinary. So many parts of our nature, joy, conflict, conformity, and imagination swirl around together in confounding and inspiring ways. I'm not sure that anyone will really ever make sense of all this, but it's spectacular to witness and feel, even if just for a short while. If you're having tea with a giant Hello Kitty doll, then you're almost certainly in Japan. This is a place that specializes in obsessing over things and taking every want and need to their unnatural extreme. If you desire a refreshing drink, there's a vending machine that will evaluate your face and pick the perfect beverage. Or perhaps you prefer to imbibe while in the company of an ornamental owl.
Whoa! Oh, shh.
Or to down a latte with a three-dimensional robot as garnish. That's a good robot. The Japanese, of course, also fetishize technology like no other culture. Japan's once glorious tech shine may have dulled with the decline of Sony and other empires. But without question, there's a new tech movement on the rise. Where else would I begin my journey but in Tokyo? millions of people make their way around the city in an orderly fashion, doing their best not to bother anyone. The hustle of modern life dominates the city. But it's at night that Tokyo really comes to life. Welcome to the Robot Restaurant. As touristy and insane as all of this is, it actually gets to the heart of Japan's relationship with robots. The machines here come with stories and personality. They're good, they're bad, and sometimes they eat people. But far away from the fire-breathing dinosaurs and werewolf guitarists, researchers at a Tokyo museum have set up a workshop where they're looking to prove that robots can be imbued with life.
Hello, Ashlee.
Eat your red pill and try to keep up. Professor Takashi Ikegami has helped create this thing, which looks like it comes straight from Ex Machina Central Casting. Through a series of sensors and artificial intelligence software, this android looks out into the world and reacts to what it sees. The android is in effect evolving based on what its AI software seems to like.
Basically, there are two different mechanisms. One is autonomous rhythm generators coupled with each other. Also, there's artificial neural networks spontaneously firing and sending signals to each other.
As someone approaches the android, the sensors detect the movement. And then the software kicks in to determine how the robot will move in response. But for the moment, it has a movement style that could be described as that really drunk guy at the party.
Okay, so in each one of these sensor boxes, right here, there's two cameras.
Yeah.
And this is measuring the
distance, yes.
So when I come closer or further away from the machine,
then robot has to do something.
It has to react to that.
Yeah.
You guys will add more and more sensors all the time.
We can put like a temperature sensors, sound sensors, many other sensors.
Armed with more sensors, the robot can make more judgments about its environment and more nuanced reactions. Over time, the movements and gurgles change. The thinking is that the robot will eventually form its own personality and possibly even language.
What's the deal with the noise? Is it hungry?
This sound is designed by my student. And the behavior is modifying those sounds. The sound is changing all the time. It's more like, a primitive language. That's, I think, the interesting part of it. Like our babies, we don't have to tell everything to the baby, but baby can learn unconsciously by interacting with people, interacting with the environment, right? Once we have a bunch of lifelike systems around us, maybe our concept of what is life will be very much different. And then if we want to coexist with robots, then we maybe have to learn different languages, different way of thinking.
So that doesn't freak you out? You think that's a utopia?
I think it's much more ideal to me compared with this, very violent world right now.
Well, thank you for letting me see your android.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, he said something. I think he said he likes you.
If you want to learn about robot culture, Kyoto is as good of a place to start as any. For hundreds of years, it has been the showcase city for Japan's most famous traditions, from geishas to spectacular temples. Over in the University District, you can also find some of Japan's best technological minds. I've come to Doshisha University to dive deep into Japan's love affair with robots, with a professor and one of Japan's most active robot hobbyists.
20年ぐらい前に日本で流行ったバーチャファイターっていうゲームがあって動きアクションができるっていうのが非常に特徴になっていて。
Wow. Yeah, Akira's got good moves.
Takashi Horinouchi embodies a Japanese concept known as otaku. It refers to a person who obsesses over something, be it Hello Kitty, sushi, or robots. For Takashi, robotics is more than a hobby. It's his passion. Most of his free time goes into assembling these things by hand, out of 3D printed body parts and electronics.
Do you work on these almost every day?
Yes, about 2 hours, almost every day. もうそれはもういつも考えてアイディア自体はいつも考えていて。
That's cool.
Yeah.
Each one takes months to build, including the software for the choreographed moves. But it's not all for show. These robots must fight to earn their keep.
Akira would hit other robots? Yeah?
Like that.
Yeah.
One of Takashi's robots recently took first place in a competition, making him king of the otaku. And when you're the king, there are people that want to study you. One of Japan's foremost researchers into the relationship between man and bots is Hirofumi Katsuno, an anthropologist here at Doshisha University.
I was looking for the passionate people who work on robots. I joined the group and started to create my own robots.
And you two met at these in these events.
Hiro felt compelled to ask that Seinfeldian question. What's the deal with Japan and all those robots?
It's related to Japan's sort of national quest to establish its own identity and after the World War II. So after the sort of devastation of the whole land, Japan started to rebuild the nation through promoting the peaceful use of science and technology. In that process, I think many anime creators and manga creators started to ponder the kind of ideal relationship between the Japanese and technology. For instance, like Tezuka Osamu, who is a creator of Astro Boy.
Hiro is not alone in pointing to the significance of Astro Boy. The manga series started in the 1950s and has a mad scientist type building an android to replace his dead son. The saga goes on to explore what life would be like if humans and robots coexist. And it's that very same idea that one local tech giant has invested millions of dollars to pursue. Hitachi produces a shocking amount of stuff, from brain scanners right on up to nuclear reactors. This being Japan, it's also in the robot game. I've gone to one of the company's vaunted research labs to see its latest take on the robot that people desire most, an autonomous helper. Hitachi calls this creature Emu.
Hi, Emu.
Please follow me.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emu. I'm
Emu was developed as a sort of friendly robot concierge, equipped with AI for navigation and speech recognition. He might provide directions at an airport or do some low-level security work. Or he might be kicked over by a cynical reporter looking for a good time.
That's pretty cool.
That resemblance between Emu and my pal Hello Kitty is on purpose. Emu's designer, Asibaba, wanted the robot to have the same harmless, non-creepy feel.
Is it meant to look like a child?
Yes, because everyone like it.
Everyone likes a child. Yeah, fair enough.
There's an adorable quality to these robots, and they may be helpful one day. For the moment, though, rolling around looking cute is about the extent of what they can do, and they're super expensive to make.
Do you have a price that you're aiming to get to?
We will try to, cheaper than car.
Be cheaper than a car?
Car.
Okay.
What's that, Emu? You want to make up for your failings by showing me an autonomous vehicle? Okay.
Thanks, Emu. Here's my ride.
This sweet hog with the flip-top door is called Ropits.
Away we go.
It's sort of like a self-driving car, but is meant to travel down sidewalks instead of on the road. And this is the vehicle's inventor, Ryoki Hichinose.
これを開発したコンセプトは、お年寄りが気軽に外に出かけられるようにする手伝うようにということを目的としております。お年寄りが外に出て疲れた時にいつでもこれを自分の場所に呼び出して家まで戻れると思ったら。
Japan's aging population has forced the country to try and invent new ways to help seniors make their way around cities. The idea here is that someone can summon the car to their house and then go for a leisurely drive to the store. The open windows and slow speed of Ropits means that the driver can even have a chat with a friend, or perhaps an emu walking nearby. It's a beautiful utopian future Hitachi is imagining for us all, full of smart, compassionate robots attending to our every need. But suffice it to say, that future very much remains the future.
The wall, the wall, the wall. Where are we going? Where are we going? What's going on, robot?
Help, Emu! Japan's creative thinking has stalled in recent years, as its tech giants and startups have struggled. To find out why, I joined my friend, Noriaki Okubo, back in Tokyo, for a chat about Japan's tech scene over noodles. Aki is a well-connected tech guru, venture capitalist, and champion noodle slurper.
I've never worked on my slurp technique.
After a week in Japan, I had so many questions for him.
How would you compare the Japanese VC scene to, say, Silicon Valley?
Traditional VCs are really bad because they don't want to take risks. There's a lot of new VCs that are doing pretty well. New internet companies, and they can take risk, but not the traditional salaryman type VCs.
Yeah.
When Aki says salaryman, he's talking about that image we have of the conservative, hard-working Japanese businessman. This culture rewards conformity and safe business decisions. According to Aki, it's a key factor in the fall of Japan's tech dominance in favor of the disruptive mentality of Silicon Valley.
The decisions that come up from that kind of process is always going to be, let's just do something that's okay and nothing cool.
Yeah. Is there a big call to change that way of thinking?
I mean, I think there is, but it's just still the minority.
Yeah. While Aki's take on technology here holds true in the big picture, there are plenty of people and companies that see themselves as rebels trying to buck the system. And no one exemplifies this better than Toshiyuki Onoko and his company, Team Lab. For Onoko, inspiration struck when he was just 8 years old.
In my second year of junior high, I usually tell people that an electric wave struck me. I'm not sure what it actually was or even how to describe this, but a strong sense of duty that I needed to do something that had meaning in society suddenly came over me.
If that red pill is still circulating through your system, then this will feel perfect.
Let's see if we can go find a fish.
It's one of Team Lab's world-famous techno-art experiences.
They use this projection mapping technology to track the fish. And when they hit somebody's body, it's supposed to turn into a flower. All right, we're supposed to move on. Let's go down the hallway. How long does it take to do one of these projects?
Forever. We take one idea and create, reconsider, then repeat the process. For example, the exhibit you saw, Crystal Universe, we've been working on for 5 years. The pool one, we've been working on for 2 to 3 years.
Team Lab has around 400 employees, thinking up new, ever weirder things, and working in their makeshift laboratories.
What's this one?
You're making clothes, right? I think it's for a show. It's for a dancer? No, he's making clothes for a mascot. Here, we're experimenting with a device that allows you to manipulate waves in the water.
You're gonna make patterns in the water and control the patterns. Yeah, that's cool. This is the sort of...
Onoko is known throughout Japan as a flamboyant character. For him, you either create something new, or you grow old and stay quiet.
Japanese society has aged too much. It is a society of old people. It's conservative, and it can't seek value in new things.
So you're trying to change that?
No.
No?
No. I want to be with people who want to take a step into the new world. People who are creative, who want to change the world. These people I hope to inspire and to have an influence on. Or, by having them experience our art, I want to shake their values. So rather than taking on people who don't want change, I work to inspire people who want change.
It's Onoko and the people wired like him that do seem to be Japan's best hope for a major technology resurgence. The well-funded robotics labs and corporate giants do amazing research, but they've struggled to keep pace with places like Silicon Valley and China when it comes to making products that actually reach consumers. Japan remains trapped between two worlds, the old and the new. It's a country that has turned the future into a religion, but that must still deal with an aging population and rigid customs. The way forward for Japan, its chance to really make a mark, will almost certainly come from its robots. Emu, for one, is already getting ready to be a guide and chauffeur at the 2020 Olympics. For now, I say goodnight to Japan. May all our dreams be filled with Hello Kitty.